welcome to the Reading Mama. Today I'm going to do a book tag called the A to Z book tag. Amy at Amy Partridge did this and it looked like fun. And I probably should have prepared it, but we're just going to do it blind. So forgive me if this is chaos. Hey, it says an author you've read most books from. So I don't know if this means like the most books total. I don't know. I've read lots of children's book authors, and so Margaret Peterson Haddix, I have read, I think, I've read most of hers, and also the Lemony Snicket's. I've read several of those books. The series of unfortunate events, but I know he has several others that my other girls have read for children's books. I've read all of Jane Austen's except for Lady Susan. I don't know. There's a lot of authors. Usually if I find an author, I just kind of try to read them all from that particular author. So we'll see. Next is his best sequel ever. I hate best ofs because I am just not good at it. I don't have a best of. Best sequel that I've read this year so far. I really enjoyed the sequel to the Recorder series. And that's called Aberration, and that was really good. I really enjoyed that series. And so that was good. Current C is currently reading. I am currently reading several books, but I am working through The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson as I enter the Cosmere world. And I'm really enjoying that, and it's a good sequel. It was not at all what I expected. I kind of went into it kind of blind. And then since then I've seen the character, fan art, all that kind of stuff. But I'm really loving that. Drink of choice while reading. I really like a chai tea, there we go, chai tea latte or a French vanilla latte, coffee, or I really like Coke. That is my cold drink. I'm really not a hot drink person, so I'm just kind of getting into hot drinks in my 40s, you know, as one does. E, it says e-reader or physical book. I used to be, when I started this channel a year ago, it's like physical book, hands down. But I do a lot of audiobooks. But if I have to choose e-reader or physical book, it kind of just depends, because I have started doing ebooks on my phone through Libby, and I really like that for night because I can turn all the lights off and keep it kind of quiet and calm, and I really enjoy that. Well, you know. Fictional character you probably would have dated in high school. In high school, I probably would have gone for any morally gray main character. Let's just be honest. Yeah, I am a very different person than I was in high school. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Probably none of the ones that I like now, because it would probably be a very morally gray person. And I know I can't think of someone. Let's just be honest. I was not the Gilbert Blythe fan. He now I think he's just sweet and wonderful. I love it. That would not have been mine. Yeah, it would have been some sword wielding kind of person. I really loved like Merlin spin-offs, King Arthur, you know. Yeah, rugged, morally gray, probably would have fallen for Lancelot, you know, all those kind of things. That was me in high school, what I wanted. Glad you gave this book a chance. I actually really liked Mortal Queens and Lethal Kings. That was kind of my first fairy book since high school, and I really enjoyed it, surprisingly. I'm not big on that kind of thing. It's still not my favorite, but I'm glad I gave it a chance because I actually really did like that book. A hidden gem book. H is hidden gem. I hate to say it again, but I would say the Children of Consortium, Recorder, Aberration, and Guardian. Those are kind of a hidden gem. They're very indie books. I'm really loving kind of getting into the indie book scene. I love Chantel's suggestion of several books in the indie world. And I like getting into those kind of books. Popular books kind of always make me take a step back. Do I really want to read it? Why is it popular? And some of my like rebellion is like, no, I'm not going to read that. So hidden gems have been some indie books, and especially from Enclave Publishing. I've really enjoyed a lot of those. Important moment in reading life. Important moment in reading life. I don't know. I know this is going to sound really cheesy, but I really love an important moment in reading life is when I teach another kid to read. I was a kindergarten teacher before I had kids and homeschooled. and I taught several of my kindergarten students to read. We were in a private school, so it was appropriate to their ability. Anyway, but I have since taught 5 and working on kid number 6 of my own to read, and I love teaching them to read. Sometimes it's like head against the wall beating, but once they get the bug and you just see them take off, oh my goodness, it's my favorite thing as a mama, as a reader, as a homeschool teacher. I just love seeing kids get that book bug and want to just dive headfirst, and then they're, consuming everything and they're little bookworms. That's my favorite thing. Jay just finished. What did I just finish? I finished the Stephanie Garber Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I did the audiobook and I finished it. We've been in the car a lot this week. And I've been kind of in a romantic-y, trying to find the clean ones. And that one actually was pretty good. It felt very clean. As somebody, I realized Caraval is really popular and it's supposed to be first. And then that's Once Upon a Broken Heart is a spinoff. Didn't know that because I go into a lot of these things blind, but I really, really enjoyed that series and just finished it. And it was very nice. Okay, kind of books you wouldn't read. I will not read horror. I will not read, Stephen King is a no-go for me. Nothing, I can't handle it. Longest book read. Longest book read, I don't know. Mistborn was pretty stinking long. It was like 700 pages. I finished Mistborn this year, and that was probably one of my longest books this year. I have not finished Count of Monte Cristo or Lawrence of Arabia. They both sit on my shelf. They are on my TBR. I do hope to actually read them. I struggle. But so probably Mistborn was maybe the longest one this year. I don't know what the longest book ever read because I've never really counted pages, and I'm just starting to get into that. So I don't know. We'll go with Mistborn. Major book hangover. Book hangover. I don't know. There's a lot that I think about. I think I'm rereading through The Hunger Games. So right now that's been on my mind since Sunrise on the Reaping came out. And so I think about that one a lot. Plus there's just a lot that goes in with this world. And really any of those books that are dystopian, that are fantasy sci-fi, that make those political statements, those I kind of get stuck in my head depending on what I'm reading at that current time. And so there's that. Fahrenheit 451 probably, I would say, would be the biggest book hangover I've had. Just because, if I'm doing this prompt right, because I think about that one all the time. I wish it didn't have all the swears in it because I would make everybody read it, but it's got a lot of swears. And that one, there's just so much in that. And same with 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451, that trio, if they could just get rid of some of the vulgarity of it, I would make everybody read them because there's so much goodness and so much popping brain thinking. It just keeps going on and on. They're very vulgar books. I digress. Number of bookcases you own. So as you may have heard, we have over 2,300 books, and I did just buy more books. Please, I hope my husband doesn't watch these videos and wonder. No, I'm just kidding. He knows to an extent. But bookcases, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 8. I don't know. We have the Billy bookcases, so they're like all connected. Plus, do you count little ones? I don't know, 8, 10. A lot. We have over 2,300 books, so a lot of bookcases. Not enough, though. Let's see here. One book you have read multiple times. One book I've read multiple times. I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna do children's books, I can put any of them on there. I've read Chicka Chicka Boom Boom till my eyes bleed. But a book I've read multiple times. I did say The Hunger Games. I've read that multiple times. Pride and Prejudice I've read multiple times. I don't know. There's probably more. There's a lot of children's books I read multiple times. We've read Green Ember multiple times. Pilgrim's Progress we've read multiple times. The Bible we've read multiple times. I try to read through it in a year and have for about a decade. There's a lot that we read multiple times. Preferred place to read. Well, I enjoy this chair. but really I'll read anywhere. If my preferred place is snuggled up somewhere comfy with a blanket. So yeah, pretty much anywhere. I like reading outside. It's harder to do when you have little kids, but I do enjoy it when I don't have to worry about them putting dirt in their mouth. Quote that inspires you. Ooh, I'm gonna have to come back to that one. So I'll come back to Q. Reading regret. R. I'm guessing this is like a book you wish you hadn't read, but I don't know. There's a lot, and I just DNF them. I never started that until this year when I started BookTube and started watching these. And yeah, book regrets. The most recently, what was that? I was a nonfiction book that I read last month, and I regret it. I regret that I bought it. I regret that I read it. I regret everything about it because it was horrible in my opinion. But you know, there's a lot of books like that, and usually I just DNF them now. I try not to struggle through them. S. A series that is started and need to finish. Well, there are so many. I am obviously still working through the Mistborn series before I go full Sanderlanche. And then other series, I'm also in the middle of the Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis. I have one more book in that, and I don't know if I'm going to read it because I really hate it. Really hate Ransom. I really hate the planets they're visiting. I hate everything about it. But I am one of those people who I usually have to finish a series once I start it. Hence the Once Upon a Whatever Broken Heart. So yeah. Other series I'm in the middle of, I'm almost done with the Hunger Games. So I have the Ballad of Snakes and Songbirds, and also Sowing on the Sunrise on the Reaping to reread. And then I'll finish that series again. I think there's a few others, but yeah, if you watch my Instagram, you'll see books as I finish them, and I tend to just like binge a series. So I don't usually end up in the middle of them too often. Three of all-time favorite books. I hate this. All-time favorite books. All-time favorite books. Let's do some nonfictions because I can give you my nonfictions. My all-time favorite nonfictions are the Bible. And Evidence Not Seen by Darlene Dyler Rose, and The Hiding Place by Corey Ten Boom. I absolutely love those. If I had to do my all-time favorite fiction books, though, that would be incredibly hard. I used to be pretty diehard. Pride and Prejudice was a favorite, but I don't know that it is anymore. 3 fiction books that I love. I'm like looking at the books, but it's just my TBR over there, and so it's not really helping me because I haven't finished those books. I have really loved Ruta Sepetys's books this year. So I would probably say, let's 3 all-time favorite books. I'm going to give you my 3 all-time favorite genres. Historical fiction, Ruta Sepetys would be at the height of that. Dystopian, and I would put Hunger Games probably there. I don't know, maybe not. Really, I think probably Fahrenheit 451, if we're going to go dystopian, would be my favorite there. And then, so historical fiction, dystopian, and then fantasy is my favorite. And that could go a lot of ways. I don't know what my favorite fantasy book would be. I really loved Aragon for a while. I really love a lot of different fantasy books, so I don't know, but those are my 3 favorite genres. How about that? You, unapologetic fangirl for, I'm gonna say Hunger Games because obviously I've read it multiple times and I keep going back, so I love that. I'm also a very unapologetic fan of Margaret Peterson Haddix. Margaret Patterson Haddix? I don't know. I love her books. I don't know what her middle name is there, but Margaret Haddix's books I just absolutely love. They were so fun, especially her Missing series. And yeah, I just really enjoyed her books. So going back to unapologetic fangirl for Suzanne Collins, I'm not going to say just Hunger Games. I'm going to say for Suzanne Collins, because if you haven't read the Gregor of the Overlander series, those are awesome, great middle grade books, and little less violent than Hunger Games. I really loved them. So yeah, kind of a big fan there for those. Very excited for this release more than others. I don't follow a lot of new releases. I really would love, but there's no date for it, for the 4th book in the Calculated series. Worst bookish habit would be dog earing. I dog ear my books. I also break the spines. I'm pretty unapologetic about it. Sorry. X marks the spot. Start at the top left of bookcase and pick the 27th book. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so just on my mama shelf, 27th book, and this is not my most, whatever. The 27th book, X Marks the Spot, was Mama Bear Apologetics. I need to reread it. It was really good. I think I did audio a while back, but it helps you as a mom, Christian mom, to prepare your family and yourself to face the questions of the world and to uphold Christianity. So yeah. Why? Your latest book purchase. I shared that in my last video, and I'm not going to say it because there are little ears in the hallway right now, but it is some Christmas present books. That's my latest book purchase. There are a few books that I'm hoping to buy. I'm hoping to get an Amazon gift card for Christmas so that I can buy a couple books to join Chantel's Indie Bookshelf Challenge. And so those will be next. ZZ Snatcher. Last book that kept you up late, and that would be the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. That one kept me up. I would say it kept me up, but really, was it the book or was it the baby? Because frankly, my child has been teething and has not slept for like the last month, which is why I'm getting through so many audiobooks right now, because she just wants to be held and rocked and nursed all night long. And so I listen to audiobooks on my headphones and pass the night away. So, yeah. So that's that. I'm going to go back to Q and look up a quote for you. Okay, so these are my Q quotes from recent book reads. I'm going to share my fiction quotes because nonfiction, those are like tabbed up like insane, so it would take forever to find a quote. But I'm going to share 3 that really inspired me from fiction. So first up was from Air by Sabathir. When humanity turns on its children, then you know it is lost. And today that just hits. It's something to remember because it's so very true. And then also in Air by Sabathir, she says, "For the people was a blood-soaked shield brandished by tyrants." And again, just a political statement that just really stuck with me. And then from The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson, "Good men don't need to become legends. They simply do what's right anyway." And so I just really enjoyed those. I have noticed a lot of the quotes from my fiction books that I'm writing down tend to be about those political statements, tend to be about freedom, tend to be about asserting oneself for righteousness' sake. So yeah, that's where that's been. So that is my A to Z book tag. If you want to join in, I'm not going to tag anyone, but if you would like to join in, please do. I'll try to put the prompts down below. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.